Hollywood versus reality. New York City edition?
You a doorman?
Yeah, I'm a doorman. To the sky. I'm a pilot.
Coming up. Hey 7-4 crew, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. My channel, 7-4 Gear, is all about aviation. Matt Damon is in some of my favorite movies, but in this TV show, 30 Rock, he plays a pilot. The show was created by this woman, Tina Fey, who I think is hilarious. You've probably seen me use some of the clips from this show in some of my different videos in the past. The show's no longer airing, but I'm sure you can find it on Netflix or Amazon, but these are the best clips I could find of Matt Damon being a pilot. Let's get into it.
You a doorman?
Yeah, I'm a doorman. To the sky. I'm a pilot. Anyway, we're about a half hour into the flight. I hear this commotion behind me in the cabin, so I exit the cockpit. I go down the aisle, and to my left, I see...
A terrorist?
No, I wish. No, it's a drunk lady. She's pulled her pants off, and she's ranting. She's complaining about the in-flight entertainment. So things got a little heated, and I had to implement Sky Law.
What's...
Sky Law. It's when I put on the fasten seatbelt sign and no one's allowed to move till we've had 10 minutes of silence.
I've been mistaken for a lot of different things, especially when I flew corporate jets. We would finish work and a lot of times I would go get food or things like that in my uniform just because I didn't want to stop, change, go home and do all that mess. So sometimes there you'd see kids and I'd get mistaken for a shipboat captain or other things like that, but never a doorman. But New York, I could see that happening. The uniforms are similar, there are bars, so all right, that could be true. This part about the passengers?
No, it's a drunk lady. She's pulled her pants off and she's ranting. She's complaining about the in-flight entertainment.
Sadly, that's very true. Passengers sometimes do crazy things on the flight, much worse than this even, which I'll probably talk about in another video. Now for the very Hollywood parts. Pilots, when there is a disturbance in the cabin area, pilots don't leave the flight deck to go back there to see what's going on. I think for obvious reasons you know why we would not do that, and I will not be explaining that in this video or any other video. Another Hollywood thing here is our epaulets. Our epaulets don't have planes on them, and our jackets don't have epaulets. Epaulets are these things that you see on the top of our shoulders here. On our jackets we have the bars on our arms near our wrists, or on our regular shirts we have them up here. It's a pilot's nature to make sure everybody knows they're a pilot, and that's probably why we don't design uniforms, because if we could put planes and jets on everything that we wear, we would probably do it, but that's not how it works in real life. As for the part about Sky Law,
I had to implement Sky Law.
well, I can't officially talk about that. That's kind of top secret stuff. All right, let's see what's next.
Look at Sweatpants Guy. This is a $90 million aircraft, not a Tallahassee strip club. Stewart, 2118, that guy.
Excuse me, Mr. Sweatpants. We're gonna need to check that bag.
And that is Sky Law.
You are making a choice here. I am not just a passenger.
And the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. All passengers, including any lipless middle-aged women in lesbian clown shirts, should please take their seat at this time.
Like the fact that you insulted me in front of my entire crew, especially Stewart, who often makes up hurtful nicknames for me, like Mr. Bumpyland.
I find it so funny when this flight attendant is roasting Tina Fey, because Tina Fey wrote and produced a lot of these different shows, so it's funny to me because she wrote it for herself to get roasted, which is kind of my personality as well. Do the crews talk trash about the passengers as they're getting on the plane? Sometimes, but it's usually not the pilots. Usually the pilots are just sitting in their seat and they're too lazy to get up, but every now and again, the flight attendants will come up there and talk about somebody doing something. I know I've told you in other videos I like to stand where Matt is standing while the passengers are boarding, especially when there's a delay, so people don't give attitude to the flight attendants as they're getting on the plane. And that's just something I like to do, especially when there's a delay, because as the passengers are getting on the plane, if you're standing there, it usually sets a better tone. If it's just a flight attendant, sometimes they're snippy, but if I'm standing there with my normal face, which looks kind of angry, usually they don't say anything, they just get in and sit down and that's it. The other reason this is a little bit Hollywood is it's loud right there in the galley. You got people boarding, you can hear the outside noise from the jet bridge, it's loud. So if you're trying to talk about a passenger, it's very hard to whisper it without them hearing, because your whisper is kind of a loud speaking voice in order to be able to communicate to someone. You literally have to be very close to them. So I've heard guys talking in the galley before, in row 2 and 3 can hear what you're saying because it's loud, it's echoey, and there's just a lot of things that are happening. So it's kind of hard to talk trash about passengers as they're getting on the plane like that. The amount of space that you have and the volume that you're speaking at is actually really louder than you think. And I know this from personal experience. However, these are the Hollywood things that are in this scene. I don't know any plane where flight attendants can control the seats. You see him touching the seatbelt sign here? You would think it would make sense since they're the one dealing with the passengers, but I guess with the flight attendants, what would end up happening is they would end up making people sit in their seats the entire flight. And flight attendants, before you start accusing me of saying that's not true, you know it's true. Also, in the case where Matt Damon is a captain, which I'm guessing based on the 4 bars all over his jacket, he would also have something decorative on his hat. Captains' hats usually have some types of leaves or emblems or something that's on there indicating they're a captain, and that differentiates between a first officer and a captain on the hat. So that's something that is just maybe a small thing that got missed. Next, you wouldn't have the pilots outside the cockpit like this with an aviation headset on their neck. It's funny because everything they have is screaming, "I'm a pilot," which is in fact what a pilot would do. But a pilot wouldn't do this, because just having that cord dangling at his feet, it would be really annoying. I'm guessing the cables on those headsets are roughly about 6 feet long, so you have it hanging at your neck, you'd have it hitting your feet or dragging along the floor depending on how tall you are. It's just not something that a pilot would do. Matt, next time you're doing one of these things, man, call me. I'll walk you through it. No charge. And this next part is very true, and I mentioned it a bunch of times. You never want to have a nickname in aviation.
Who often makes up hurtful nicknames for me, like Mr. Bumpyland.
Usually, the only time your flight attendants will make fun of your landings are A, your landings are very good and you're having a bad streak of landings, which has happened to me. It's very frustrating. I've told it about it in some of my other stories. And so that's one time that your flight attendants will make fun of your landings. The other time your flight attendants will make fun of your landings is if you're just terrible. And I mean terrible, landing after landing after landing. And that's because they're sitting back there, especially if they're in the back of the plane, and they're the ones that feel like they're getting smashed into their seat every time you land. And I know some pilots will say, "Oh, I want to see you do a landing." Well, look, they didn't go through flight school. You did. So stop doing such terrible landings. A game that I actually used to like to play is that what I would do is tell the flight attendants to rate the landings, and they wouldn't know who was flying. Both flight attendants would rate the landings, we'd average them out, and then we'd tally them up. At the end of the day, the loser had to buy the winner beer. All right, let's see this next scene.
I'm not sorry you saw me cry. I'm an emotional guy. That's actually not even part of my personality. That's just something that happens to people who change altitude more than 4 times a day.
Let me pause this really quickly here, because this 4 times a day changing altitude thing causing you to be emotional, that's a true thing. So if you ever see me crying during an emotional movie, that's why. It's the altitude change. For all my flight attendants out there, if your boyfriend or girlfriend says you're emotional, this is just the cross that we bear for doing our jobs. Not all heroes wear capes. I mean, the flying thing seems to be a theme, but not all heroes wear capes. All right, let's get back to it.
You ever joined the Mile High Club?
Try 5 miles high, and no, I have not.
Did you ever see a UFO up there?
No, but once when I was in the Air Force, I saw Mr. T in a Pizza Hut.
Was the Air Force like Top Gun?
Yeah, but with a lot more volleyball.
You ever kill anyone?
Sucked a mechanic into my engine once.
Are you on Facebook?
So far, this scene is the most real. If I end up meeting a new group of guys, this is usually what happens. You're getting asked a bunch of different questions, not necessarily these particular questions, but a bunch of different questions. And usually there's one guy who's married or has a really serious girlfriend, and he'll get a man crush on you and just go, "Oh man, this guy's the coolest." If you're there with a girl, their face is usually going to look like this. They are so over hearing you talk about being a pilot. And if you're a pilot, you know this is very true. On a side note, something that is very Hollywood here is no pilot ever would walk around outside of the airport with his uniform hat in his hand. I mean, there is one group of pilots that would do that, but generally not. Right, Juice? All right, let's get back to 30 Rock.
His name is Carol. Like Carol O'Connor from Nick at Night. Exactly, Sari, thank you.
Jack, Carol, get ready for some of this. Later. Yeah, I'm gonna depart. On time. I'm a pilot.
There's a mix of Hollywood and real stuff in this scene here. This one in particular had to make the cut.
His name is Carol. Like Carol O'Connor from Nick at Night. Exactly, Sari, thank you.
Because as you can imagine, a male pilot with the name of Carol is something that I can relate to. Unfortunately, I don't have some hot girl that's standing there defending my name. Although when I did the mean comments video, I did get a few DMs from girls saying they really liked my name. So feel free, girls, to keep DMing me.
Creepy.
Something that is very Hollywood, though, is there is no pilot who is straight with dance moves this good. Sorry, ladies, that's super Hollywood. However, something that is very accurate is this scene right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna depart. On time. I'm a pilot.
A pilot will always let you know, regardless of whether or not they're in full uniform, that they're a pilot. All right, let's see the next scene.
Lizzie, if something were to happen, I want you to know that I need you to go to Raleigh to my apartment and just clear out all the porn before my mom gets there.
That's it?
Yeah, I also need you to TiVo Bones for me in case I survive.
You can't use cell phones on planes.
No, that's just something we tell passengers. Oh, hello, hold on.
A little known secret is that you saw Matt earlier was wearing 4 bars. Now that he's got down to his regular pilot shirt, he's down to 3 bars. It's a little game that pilots play in the hopes that girls will keep seeing the number going down and hope to keep getting you to take more clothes off. It's a little known secret. Also, I'm not really sure why there's a flight engineer sitting in the back of the plane. There used to be a slot for that on a lot of older planes, but you generally won't see that on any modern planes now. As for the cell phone working, no, it is not going to work, usually after like 500 or 1,000 feet. How do I know? That's because I've forgotten to turn my cell phone off before. Will it make the plane crash? No. Should you do it because your flight attendant tells you to? Yes. But it's really not a big deal. But what will happen is your battery will drain. There's only one time that I've ever had it. It was super weird. I was flying over into Alaska. We crossed into Canada. When I crossed into Canada, I got a bunch of text messages. It was very strange. So I don't know if I flew through some weird GPS beam or something, but it hit my phone. I had forgotten my phone was on in the back of the plane, and I don't know. I got a bunch of text messages. When I went on break, I saw these text messages from like 30 minutes before. It was kind of strange, but other than that, your phone battery is just going to drain. All right, let's see what's next.
You know, I spent my entire adult life just casual girlfriends in different cities, and I can't go from woman to woman to woman anymore.
How many women have you been with?
No, I'd rather not say. It's shameful. And I'm a pilot. 6.
Oh.
The part about him repeating for probably the 10th time that he's a pilot, 100% accurate. The part saying that he has been able to sleep with 6 girls, highly unlikely. Especially with all the crime that's happening as a result of, the altitude changes. If you want to hear about some real true stories that happens with flight crew on layovers and some of our personal time, you're going to want to see this video right here. If you want to see me being very sarcastic, you're going to want to watch this video up here. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.